Hi, so this is where we stopped. So we're going to continue from where we stopped last tutorial. So if you have not seen this, you could just check the link in the description. So you could just watch that and come back and follow along in this tutorial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this in layers so that I will be able to pick each and individual parts and work on them. But in the real sense of it, I actually do not need this. Actually, I don't need that yet. I don't need it yet. So what I will do is to save the mattress holder, because this is where I'm going to put the mattress. And then before I do that, also, I have this bed set. If you notice, this is the ground floor. So if I go to the front view, for instance, you notice this is the ground level. We need to move this such that the leg is on the ground. And by the time we take this to CLO, it doesn't interact with the floor and the simulation will have issue. So once I have this on the floor, set, and every other thing is perfect. So what we could do is just come here and begin to hide everything. So we don't need this. We don't need the legs. So we have that. Just want to hide everything and be sure nothing is going to be visible in the scene. So once I have this, I will bring this out of the bed hierarchy, or I could actually put it back there and just create a copy out here. So this copy is what I'm going to export out. So notice it's floating here, and that's exactly what I want. Then I'm going to copy this guy, create a new file, and put this here. That's my own workflow. And even though I hid every other thing, notice it's not showing. The reason is because I'm using R19, so it doesn't give me room to export selected objects. So whatever object in the scene is what is going to export out. And that's why we have that. So I have to bring it into a new file so that we can export it. We know that this is the only thing we have in this file. So once I come here, I can just export this guy again as obj and override this. And every other setting is fine. So if I go back to CLO and bring that same file back, import obj. Now we should have only every other setting is fine. Every setting is fine. So we should have only the mattress holder and floating in the air the way it's meant to be. So this is correct now. So once we have this set, then the next thing is for us to start creating the fabric. So I'm going to create the fabric. I'm going to start by creating a rectangular fabric. So come here, go to rectangle, just click anywhere here. It's going to come up with this, so we can just choose a value. Remember the value we use. So we don't need a value here. Once I click here, I can always go back to change this. So this is what we have right now. So if I select this, I can rotate, holding down shift to constrain this. So I have that. So we could now come to this second tool that allows us to edit pattern. So we'll select this edge. Once we select this edge right here, we can move this edge upward, holding down shift to make it constrain it to that vertical. So once we have that, we do the same thing here. Okay, so I just want to be sure everything is, so we can bring this a little bit out. All right, so for the edge here, we'll bring this out a little bit. Let it just pass that bed. So once we have this set, we could still come here, move this down. So I'm going to make it interact so that I will be sure of. So once I orbit a little bit, hold down shift, I'm going to constrain this to that angle, or I could just right click. Once I right click, I have the top view, which is 5, so I'll be at the top view. So if I select this, I can move this here. make sure I'm not picking the rotate. So I'll bring this here and also this a little bit upward. So I think here, if I come here and I bring this in, holding down Alt, oh sorry, if I select this and I hold down Control, bring this in a little bit to just reduce that. So as I'm reducing this, you notice it gets reduced there and also from the top. Then from this edge, I'm going to bring this out a little bit. So this gives me this side, and for this, I'm going to bring this up a little bit. I think that part is fine. All right, so this is okay for me. So what I'll do is now start changing up this. So what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of cut here for me to get rid of some parts here. So if I come here right now, I can add a point. Okay, so if I click here, there is a tool for adding a point. So you can see add point or split line. So if I come to this side, I can add a point at a particular distance. If I know a particular distance that I want, so let's say 20, I'll just right click and put the value 20 here. Then do that, do the same thing here, and make this 20, press enter, do the same thing here, instead of 22, 20, and the same thing 20. So why am I adding this point? The reason is so that I can pick this guy here and move it in, not delete actually. So I can move this point in a little bit and I have that edge cut somewhere here. So I'll do the same thing here, select this. So it's going to snap to that point. So I'll do the same thing, add the point. You notice there is a shortcut for it, which is X. So if I want to move from adding point to edit pattern, just X and Z, all right? So if I hit Z, it takes me to edit pattern, X, add point. So if I right click 20, I do that here, right click 20, right click 20, and right click 20. So if I hit Z, I go back to edit pattern, then I'll snap to that and do the same thing likewise here. So once I have that set, I can come back to this place and right click and go to perspective. Actually, I can just orbit, that's fine. So if I select this, go to transform pattern. First I select this, I can move this up. So now once I have this moved up and I hit spacebar or select this icon, it's going to simulate and it falls on this, and that is the design I'm going to have. So from here you can always see what is happening. So you notice this part is not as long as the other edge, so we can start moving or changing things from here. So we're still going to work on this part, don't worry. So if I select this object around this place, it's going to tell me where it is right here. So we can just go to the edit pattern and bring this out a little bit. Just use a little bit of nudge by using arrow, and that's, we'll do that. So we'll do the same thing here. Select this for me to know where it is. So this is it. So I'll nudge sideways a little bit until it seems right. So I think that's fine. This, however, it's small, so I'll select this. I think this is it. Pick here, use my up arrow until it looks a little bit right. I think it's too much, and zoom in here and bring this in. I think that's fine actually. So once I have all this done, I would want to sew this part. So there is an icon for us to sew. There is a sewing segment tool. So I'll just pick this top part, sew to this place, and do the same thing here. Pick here, sew it here. then orbits, also pick this and so to the other part here. So pick this and so here, and same thing here, pick this and so here, and that is, you need to click and finish up the sewing. So everything is sewn by me seeing this red icon. So if I go back to this and hit spacebar, it's going to sew everything, and we have that. So if you feel that this is so it's trying to bring everything in. So okay, so I think I'm going to undo, Ctrl Z. I've mistakenly sewed something. So this is where I have the issue. So if I select this object and I right click on it, I can reset 3D or 2D arrangement. So if I reset 2D arrangement, it's going to take me to the arrangement in the 2D. So let me undo that. I want to reset 3D arrangement, so it brings it up. So this is where the problem is. This is meant to be sewn here, and also this is meant to be sewn, but now it's sewing to the other end. So what I'll do is I'll go to edit sewing tool, pick this edge, delete that. So I'm back here, all right. Okay, so let me hit spacebar. This is going to shrink, and that's not what I want. So undo, select this and delete. So we already know where the problem is, delete. So if I hit spacebar on this object, so before I do that, let's just move this. So if I go to the top view, which is also 5, I would be Ctrl Z. So I will be able to know where I am. So I think this should come a little bit here. So if I hit spacebar to simulate, this should fall here. So right now this is much here, so I'll just drag this out, a little bit out, just to have. Okay, so just me dressing this guy up here, so you could also bring this down, or let's just use the simpler method. Just come out a little bit here, and so let's simulate that again. All right, so let's just sew this. Hit spacebar to stop that. Just sew this place here. So that should sew that part by having that color, and do the same thing here. Sew here to this place. So let's sew this to this. And the last one, we are sewing this to this, and that's all. So if I hit spacebar, I have that sewn, so we don't have any issue anymore. All right, so we can just move this and set everything. So let me just go to the 3D. So since I don't need anything there. Okay, so we have this, and bring this up a little bit so that we don't have this interaction. So move it out until okay. So now for me to add in details into this guy, what I would do is, first off, I would go to this model. So let me just hit spacebar to stop the simulation so that it goes gray. So if I select this avatar that I've created, I have an offset skin. So this offset skin is set to 3. So let me bring this up a little bit to somewhat 3.5 or 4. Then the static friction, I'll bring that up to 1. and that's just for the avatar. So if I come to this fabric, and the first thing I want to do is to come over to the shrinked weft, and what that does, and the warp, is just to add detail to the horizontal and the vertical section of this. So if I bring this up to 104 thereabouts, and so I like having the same value. So if I'm to use 105, I use 105, but I don't want to go too much. So hit spacebar to simulate that. So you can start to see that you have detail along here. And also this is still cutting into the geometry. So I would want to add more detail by going to the particle distance. So if I come to the particle distance, bring this up, bring it down. So the way particle distance work is that the lower the value, the higher the resolution, but the slower the simulation gets. So if I simulate again, that should do a little bit to this, so you can start to see that I'm having this. So now my system is beginning to slow down, and this is coming out a little bit. So I'll just make sure I just drag this out until it goes outside that, then let go a little bit. So you can see that it's taking time to settle because I have a whole lot going on here. So just wait for this to settle down, then I'll be back in a jiffy. So just hold on for me. All right, so you can see still simulating, but then you can notice that the detail as the artifact has reduced a lot. And if I'm to reduce this value, I have more detail, and this corrects that, but it's still going to take longer render time from me. So I don't want that. So what I will do is just look around and finish up this mattress and stop this and try and do the pillow. So once I have this set, I think this is fine right there. So I can decide to say maybe I'll bring this a little bit down. So if I bring this to the 2 window splits, select this face, just stop this simulation. Then I can bring this in, just this a little bit in, tied in, so something like that. So now when you're working on this, you want to work in a high particle distance. Then if you want to now do your final rendering, that's when you bring the particle distance down. So because just to help you, so if I bring this back to 25, I could just come here, move this inwards a little bit, and look at this one also, and bring this inwards still. And this should still come in, and this one should move up, and this also should just come in a little bit. All right, so once I'm done with this, you can already see what is happening again because of the higher particle distance. So I will go back and change this to the 10. So let's just go with 12 and simulate. So we have to simulate to have that set. So let's just wait for that simulation. So once that is simulated, we are saving that out as an OBJ file extension. Then we'll now come back, re-import it as an avatar, and continue from there. So that's how I will do this process so that it doesn't bog down the system. So I think once this is fine, I'll stop the simulation and save this out. So I'll just select this object right here. So I'll go to File. So once I go to File, okay, so and I'll go to export. I'm going to export obj selected, so whatever I have selected. So I'm going to export that. So this is going to be mattress CLO. Finish. Then I'll save that out. So it's going to tell me how do I want to save this. So I want to select all pattern. I don't need avatar. I don't need to export the avatar. I already have avatar. Then I want to export it as a single object. All right. So it's going to be thin objects, not thick objects. It's going to be thin objects. Then the UV coordinates, I'm having this value. Then it's going to be in centimeter. That's fine. So we also want to flip this. Remember. And once we are fine with this, we will just save. So this is going to save the absolute texture image to the same file path. So just click OK. And it's going to export that OBJ object. It's going to export this as an OBJ object. So let's just wait. All right. So once I have this saved, exported, if I go to Cinema 4D and I try to import that right here. So this is the other file. Oh, sorry. So this is not it. Sorry. Okay, I think I may have mistakenly closed what I shouldn't have. Wow. Okay, so that's by the way. So we have that. If I am to bring this here, I would just import this file, just merge and go to the design. So this is the finished. All right, so if I bring this over here and everything is fine as this, and should bring it up. So this is it. So let's just forget about this texture. So this is the close. So this is what I am going to re-export into my CLO as an avatar, so that I can create the pillow along it. So we'll do that in the next video. So do have a wonderful